Well, today we're going to tear that advice apart. We're going to uncover a method that actually works, one that retrains your brain to beat social anxiety. So let's dive in. Now, she wasn't waiting for a friend. She was just paralyzed. The simple act of walking inside felt absolutely impossible. You can almost feel it, can't you? The heart pounding, the sweaty palms. She stood there for almost an hour and in the end just went home, hungry. But fast forward just 3 months and something incredible happens. That same woman, she walks into that same store, not just to buy her groceries, but to actually engage with people, to smile, to feel, well, normal. The transformation is just astounding. So that's the big question, isn't it? How in the world did she do that? We're going to get into the exact method she used and, just as importantly, why it works when so many other strategies just fall completely flat. Okay, first things first, to really get the solution, you have to understand the problem. For someone with social anxiety, an invitation to a party isn't something to look forward to. Nope, it's the start of a countdown to pure dread. And these aren't just, little passing thoughts. This is a full-blown catastrophe reel playing on a loop in your head for days. It's like you're mentally preparing for a battle that most people don't even realize is being fought. And then when you actually get there, your body just takes over. It's a total physical and mental siege. Your phone becomes your shield, your mind goes completely blank, and the worst part? The aftermath is hours of just agonizing over every little thing you did or said. It is absolutely exhausting. And listen, if any of that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are so far from alone. Look at that number, 15 million. That's how many adults in the US are living this day in and day out. It's a huge number. So why doesn't that common advice we always hear actually work? Well, it's because social anxiety isn't a failure of logic. It's more like a malfunction in your body's built-in alarm system. We've all heard these, right? And look, they're well-meaning, for sure. But it's kind of like telling someone with a high fever to just cool down. It totally misses the real root of the problem. This right here is the internal war. Your logical brain, the smart part, knows you're perfectly safe at a party, but your ancient, survival-oriented nervous system, it's screaming that you're being hunted by a predator. And guess which one almost always wins that fight? So let's meet the culprit, the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke detector. But for people with social anxiety, that smoke detector is way too sensitive. It's not just going off for a fire, it's going off for a tiny puff of steam, treating a simple conversation like a 5-alarm emergency. And this is what that false alarm feels like in your body. Your body isn't imagining things, it is genuinely getting ready for a life or death battle. These symptoms are real, they're automatic, and they are completely outside of your conscious control. And here's the most important point of this whole section. Willpower is useless here. You just can't reason with a fire alarm that's blaring. You have to get in there and actually rewire the system. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. So how do you actually do it? How do you rewire that faulty alarm system? Well, this is the practical, step-by-step method our woman from the grocery store used. It's called the exposure ladder, but it comes with a really critical twist. The whole method has 5 key parts. It all starts by mapping out your fears. Everything from the stuff that's only a little scary to the things that are absolutely terrifying. You're basically building a personal ladder that you can climb, one small step at a time. Okay, and this right here is the game changer. This is the big twist. The old way is all about trying to make the anxiety go away, which, let's be honest, is a losing battle. The new method? You become a scientist. Your mission isn't to feel less anxious. Your mission is to go out there and collect hard evidence, actual proof that your brain's catastrophic predictions are just flat out wrong. And this is your lab notebook. You start treating your fear like a scientific hypothesis that you need to test. By writing down what you predict will happen versus what actually happens, you create this file of hard data that proves again and again that your fear is a liar. And this is the ultimate power move. You stop fighting the anxiety. You just let it be there. You start treating it like annoying background music instead of a monster that controls your life. And when you accept it, you drain it of all its power. So, what does this actually look like in real life? Let's go back to our story and see how all these steps lead to a real, tangible breakthrough. The journey isn't some overnight fix. It's a gradual process of rewiring. The first couple of weeks are tough, no doubt. But then you start to notice that you bounce back faster, and soon situations that felt impossible start to feel manageable. And then one day, you just realize the fear isn't the main character in your story anymore. This whole process completely rewires your core beliefs. A social mistake goes from being a personal catastrophe to just a normal human moment, an oops, something you can survive and move on from, not something that has to define your entire worth. All right, so now this is where it gets personal. It's about you. You've got the method, you understand the science, so what's the one thing that's going to determine if this whole thing actually works for you? It all comes down to this one decision. Not waiting until you feel ready, because you never will, but choosing to lean into the discomfort on purpose. Using that feeling of anxiety as a signal that it's time to train, like a muscle at the gym. That is where the real change happens. We have covered a seriously powerful method for retraining your brain. But as you start thinking about your own journey, chew on this. The source material also points to one very specific situation that triggers anxiety in almost everyone, and a surprisingly simple 60-second technique to neutralize it. What do you think that could be?